Tensions have been running high for weeks in the eastern Mediterranean, with both Turkey and Greece holding military manoeuvres in the area. Turkey accuses Greece of piracy in the eastern Mediterranean. The Berlin hospital with Russia's poisoned opposition figure Alexei Navalny is being treated says he is out of an induced coma and his condition is improving. India has passed the coronavirus tally of Brazil with 4.2 million cases, becoming the second worst hit country across the world. Those are the headlines. I'm Andy Boynes. Welcome to Newsroom. While talking about the Eastern Mediterranean issue during a press conference on Monday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned those acting against Turkey and repeated Turkey's determination in pursuing its rights. Tensions have been running high for weeks in the Eastern Mediterranean as both Turkey and Greece have been conducting military manoeuvres in the area. News presenter Jafar Hasnain has visited the area amid heightened tensions between two NATO allies. Turkey's Foreign Ministry spokesman Hami Aksoy has called on France to stand with Turkey in its fight against terrorism, accusing French officials of distorting historical truths regarding the relationship between Kurds and the PKK-YPG terror group. Millions of people have been evacuated as Typhoon Haishan wreaks havoc in Japan and South Korea. Landslides have worsened problems for hundreds of thousands of locals who remain without electricity and basic necessities. Australia announced on Monday that it had struck supply and production agreements with pharmaceutical companies worth $1.2 billion over two potential COVID-19 vaccines. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison says that the country expects to receive its first batches of a potential COVID-19 vaccine in January.
A top U.S. health official.
And I'm now joined to discuss the refugee issue with two guests, with Ahmet Mobid and Halike Jaldesa. Ahmet, I believe you're calling us from Syria. Can you tell us the crisis of the migrants coming to fleeing from the war zone? How are they able to find safety?
When it comes to the migrants, there's no guarantees for the safety of the migrants as long as it is an illegal operations. So I think it needs global efforts to protect the migrants and to provide the best conditions for them instead of letting them taking the risk to go to Europe or somewhere else, escaping the harsh conditions and the wars in their countries.
And I want to ask Halike as well. In Northern Africa, many people are fleeing from different situations in Northern Africa. What do you think is the main cause of people having to migrate?
I think the case of Africa is mostly because of the environmental impact. It can be want to leave that country for the better opportunity into Europe or elsewhere. I think
So we are waiting for a new crisis on the long term or the short term. I don't know. Would be mostly endangering their society or the societies, the hosting society.
Well, I want to thank you both very much for your extensive contributions today, Ahmet from Syria and Halike from Ethiopia. Thank you for joining us on A News. And now we'll return to our news from around the world. And people in camouflage worked alongside riot police in the Belarusian capital Minsk on Sunday, beating and detaining those protesting against the re-election of President Alexander Lukashenko. And to discuss how Turkey has been dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, I'm joined in the studio with İlknur İkinci. İlknur, thank you for joining me today. Now, you've recently recovered from COVID-19, I believe.
Yeah.
How did you first learn about it?
It was kind of surprise, actually. My father was tested positive first. And then when I went to hospital, we just wanted to be tested for, to be sure if we are positive or negative. But then it turned out to be positive. So we make a quarantine in the home, me and my whole family. It was kind of difficult situation actually in to be. So you can go out, you need to be careful around the house, you should be taking care of your personal level of cleanness, and also you should take care of your family members.
So how do you think the government, was the government able to support you? Did they give you any warnings about the need to be tested after your father received his test?
Yeah, actually, Turkish government's control over coronavirus pandemic is really fascinating. Many people call me if I'm still home, if I'm in quarantine, and they checked on me. My family doctor called me many times asking about my situation. I used some medicine for COVID, and after 14 days, I went back to test again, and it came negative. I'm really glad to have this opportunity.
Let's have a look at some of the figures from
Sure.
other countries of how they've been dealing with it.
Sure.
Now, as we can see, we've just selected 6 countries, and some countries have been doing exceptionally well with, like Turkey, with dealing with coronavirus.
Yeah.
Other countries, unfortunately, haven't. Like countries like Saudi Arabia, with 33 million.
And of course, we don't know what's going to happen with vaccine issue. Russia says it has developed vaccine,
Indeed.
but it's still we need some process to see how world will deal with this issue. So far, we see poor countries have a poor fight with coronavirus, and developed countries have less affected population regarding the others.
Although if you look in a country like the United States, which has always been lauded as the most developed country,
Of course,
they're obviously an exception to that. So does perhaps this suggest that it partially also comes down to education of people? Because in America, there are very diverse views on the importance.
Well, when it comes to Americans' reaction to this coronavirus pandemic, it's kind of weird. As we see in this map, it's kind of confusing because we see in America people can deny to wear a mask, which is, we found it very surprising. And here you see 6% of people, they think like these masks are not.
Well, that's very interesting. Thank you very much,
Thank
İlknur
you.
Ekinci. And to see some more information about what's been happening in the United States with their latest figures, let's have a look at this news. All around the world, everyone is struggling as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, and none least than the children who are hoping to go to school. In Turkey, the education system has seen in the last months a robust online system, and children are hoping that their schools might be able to open in just another 10 days. I'm joined to discuss this issue with two guests, with Filiz Demir and İlknur Ekinci in the studio. Filiz Hanım, ben sana sormak istiyorum. Ya çocuklar bu yıl okullar devam edebilir mi sence?
Çok zor ama bir yandan da pardon, gitmesi gerekiyor. 1. sınıfların özellikle. Çünkü bazı şeyler uzaktan eğitimli olacak gibi değil. Birebir öğretmenin göstermesi, kalem tutuşundan yazışına kadar bulunması gerekiyor. 2+5 sistemi var denildi. Erdoğan açılacağını söyledi. 21'inde belki açılır. Ama yani bütün sınıflar için gerekli mi? Değil. 4. 3. 2. veya 11. sınıflarda zaten bilgisayar üzerinden gerekli eğitimler veriliyor. Bazı şeylerin birebir olması gerekiyor.
İlknur, you've also, I think, seen how the online education has been dealt with by Turkey. Some schools are actually leading the way in many aspects. How important do you think it is to balance the continuing of an online system with maybe trying slowly to get groups of children back into schools?
Well, this online education was due to start in one point in the history. Eventually, we were waiting for this, and we had many schools that we were seeing some PCs, some screens that teachers using different tools, different technological tools to teach the school children. But now with the coronavirus pandemic, we are more like we have to do this immediately. So we rush to find a solution in this regard. And this is not an issue that you will find a solution in 1 day or 1 week. So to be able to see the final result, I think we should be kind of patient in this regard.
But Turkey had already begun doing the infrastructure for online education, hadn't it? So,
yes.
Filiz, yani çocuklar nasıl bir durumda Mart itibaren okullar kapandı bu yıl. 2019-2020 senesinde yıl erken 3-4 ay erken bitti. Sen çocuklar biliyorsun yani onlar nasıl yaşandı bu durumda?
Çocuklar için çok sıkıcı oldu. Aileler için de zor bir durum oldu. Çünkü ilk etapta bu sisteme yeni geçilmişti Türkiye'de. Hiçbir çocuk televizyondan veya işte internet üzerinden ders yapmak istemedi. Onu oturtmaları çok zaman aldı ama bu sene kendi yeğenimde de gördüğüm 4. sınıf çok daha iyi. Ama ilk bir 3-4 ay bocalama yaşandı. Çünkü velilerden olacağını bilmiyordu ama bu sene sistemi çok daha iyi oturtmuşlar. Çok daha düzgün. Öğretmenler EBA'nın dışında kendileri ders vermeye başlamış. Evet. Ama bu 3-4 aylık süreçte öğrencilerin çok bir şey alabildiğini düşünmüyorum. Özellikle küçüklerin.
Evet,
Büyük olanlar da artık kendi düşüncelerine göre ya da rahatlıklarına göre hareket ettiler. Sanırım onu telafi edecekler bu sezon.
Tabii ki öğretmen için de zor bir durum. Onlar da tecrübe topluyorlar değil mi? Yani onlar yeni sistem herkes öğretmenler de alışkın değiller.
Aynen.
So just as a final word, what do you think will be the future for this year? Do you think education in Turkey will be successful in the coming academic year?
I really hope so, because I think Turkey is handling this crisis very well so far. So in the educational perspective, like I said before, teachers will learn, students will learn, we will figure this out. The most important thing that we should be making this system available for all students all over the country. I think that's the first thing.
Absolutely.
Now. So after handling this issue, after handling making this system EBA more available, every student, every children, to make them resuming their educational semester, I think we will be seeing good picture out of this horrible situation.
And let's hope that the children are able to learn this year and that the exams will be able to be held, enabling them to progress through their education.
Exactly. They're starting their lives with a huge experience in this regard.
Thank you very much, Filiz Demir and İlknur Ekinci, for joining me to discuss the education system as a result of the coronavirus pandemic and how Turkey is dealing very successfully with helping children to progress through their lives. And that's today's roundup from the news from around the world. I'm going to leave you now with a look at today's updates from the economy and the world of sport. Stay with us on A News as we continue to bring you news from around the world.